call the Beaufort County Board of Education Joint Board SIC meeting on December 5th, 2019 to order. And thank you for all of you that are here tonight. First thing we need is a motion to approve the agenda. Okay. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right. 6-0, so we do have a quorum. So to begin with, I just wanted to speak a little bit about SICs and thank you all. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this book called This Is Your SIC, a handbook for effectiveness. This is posted on the internet, and it's the first edition, August 2015. And I wanted to just read the first two paragraphs of the foreword that's by the South Carolina School Improvement Council Board of Trustees. An effective school improvement council is one that harnesses, oops, I skipped ahead, I'm sorry. That's all right, we'll start with this. An effective school improvement council, SIC, is one that harnesses the energy created when parents, students, and community members partner with their school's principal and teachers to achieve results that better the education and educational environment provided by their school. For nearly 40 years, the school improvement councils have been, by South Carolina law, directly involved in the school improvement planning process and helping to carry out and evaluate the outcomes of such plans. SICs must also report to the school's parents and the community how the school is progressing toward its improvement goals. An effective SIC works closely with school staff and indeed all stakeholders to provide real-world solutions so that students are better prepared to come to school, are challenged and supported while in school, and leave better equipped for the next phase of their education. So I just want to thank all the SIC members that are here tonight. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting has been properly notified. So when we set the agenda for tonight's meeting, there was some discussion about the format of the meeting. The consensus at that agenda setting meeting was to kind of go back to one of our former formats, and that is to break up into small groups, and we thought it might be best to also do that by cluster. So, can you just, I just kind of want to have an idea of how big each cluster would be. So if you would be in the Hilton Head cluster, can you raise your hand? Okay. Bluffton? A lot, okay. And then in Beaufort, if we divide it, how about Beaufort High cluster? Battery Creek? And Whale Branch? Okay. So we'll divide into 4 clusters. Hilton Head, Bluffton, Beaufort, and we'll do Battery Creek and Whale Branch. If anybody comes for Whale Branch, they'll be together. And we're going down to hallway A, and so we ask that and we'll mark the rooms, okay, which cluster is in which room. And then, since there are now 7 of us here, each board member, they will go into the cluster also that they represent, or if they represent more than one, they can choose which one they want to go into. We want to have small group discussions just by cluster, and basically we're going to ask you the 3 questions that Dr. Rodriguez did on his listed learning tours, and those are on the agenda printed here what those questions will be. And if one board member in each cluster would kind of just take some notes, so when we can reconvene back as a group, each cluster can be reported out by one of the board members that was present in that discussion. So, do we have any questions or concerns from the board members? Okay. Yes. All right. So, which way is the A hallway? Okay, you're going to follow Robin in the red coat. And she will lead us to the right places. So what we'd like to do is hear from each of the 4 clusters that we had and with their answers to the 3 questions. So let's start north and we'll move south. Dr. Rodriguez, can you be close to the door? Thank you. So let's start with Battery Creek and Whale Branch.
First of all, we didn't follow the directions and put it on butcher paper, mainly because I was the recorder and I didn't want to publicly show all my misspelled words. So let's talk about the first question, what's working well in the schools in Battery Creek Cluster. The SIC cluster meetings in the Battery Creek Cluster seem to be very well received. They meet as a group, as a cluster, and then they break out into individual school sessions after common things are passed out at the cluster meeting. They also have grade level teams that cooperate and collaborate once a month. So we have first grade from Roberts Falls, first grade from Shanklin and from Broad River. They get together as grade level teams to share best practices and so on, and they feel that's a very effective way of doing things. We have, of course, Title I schools and Title I funding in the Battery Creek Cluster, and that Title I funding has been used to allocate $1,000 per classroom, that I understand, for teachers to use in the classroom, and that's working very well. The cluster as a whole is working on culture. Culture is one of the things that Dr. Rodriguez talks about, and that's the first thing you have to do to have an effective education system. The Battery Creek Cluster is using social media very well. Battery Creek Cluster has the Battery Creek Band. Battery Creek Band is going to Chicago, but is also going to other schools and to community events, and has become a very cohesive part of the community. So that's a good thing. They also believe that the mentor program, and especially for new teachers, they come in, not only are they getting mentoring from the principal, the assistant principal, and so on, but also the SICs are getting involved in the mentoring program to help, especially new teachers come in that don't have much experience with different demographics. So that's been very well received. We have a new principal and assistant principal at Shanklin, and they believe that anytime you have a change of leadership, it's always a positive. People are enthusiastic, morale is improved, and so that's a good thing. The second thing, what can be done better? Teacher recruitment earlier. He said that when we go out and recruit in the district, that other districts have already been recruiting. So we're getting the leftovers. That's not a good idea. And we have shortages. We have shortages of math and science teachers. And we also found out in this group that we have teachers that are actually going out and recruiting and calling colleges to try to get ahead of the curve and recruit folks. And of course, that's taking teachers away from doing what teachers are supposed to do. So that was kind of a shock to hear about that. We need new teachers familiar with our demographics. He said that's a very difficult thing for new teachers that come from, say, upper class, all white type schools to come into a diverse population like we have here in Beaver County. We were very shocked to hear about resource shortages for new ESOL students. We have a large number of ESOL students that have come in, and we have limited numbers of ESOL teachers, and not only teachers, but translators that can't be teaching and then also be taking out of the classroom to go talk to parents, because there's nobody in the district office, or not the district, but in the school office, who can translate for a parent that has an issue. So that's taking away teachers that should be teaching and doing translation. And I guess there used to be a translator, but she's no longer with the system. They say that we need to make staffing resources for schools based on need, not on numbers. That there are different needs in different schools that maybe require more teachers in a classroom. Not a standard across the line, 16 teachers for schools, but some classrooms maybe need 10 because of ESOL or other items that cause that to be that way. We also were kind of shocked to hear about the lack of mental health counselors. That there used to be mental health counselors. They used to be funded. But somehow the funding dried up, and there are no mental health counselors, and the guidance counselors are not trained in mental health issues. So many of the problems, and we'll talk about this as a discipline part, about discipline are mental health issues. There is a coastal mental health counselor who services 5 schools, one who services 5 schools, and that individual just quit. They made a point that we need to make sure that parents know what counselors are available and what counselors are not available in the schools. Because some parents make assumptions that there are counselors for certain things that are not available, and they have to go seek that resource elsewhere. Spanish translator we talked about. Robert Smalls has 130 ESOL students, but no translator to deal with parents. They have to translate IEP documents to parents. And there's no translation at the district level, so that sometimes that they have to send people, because we're closer to the district office, to the district office to do translation. That's news to me, anyway. Okay, discipline. That is a challenge. And it's not a challenge for the normal student acting up one time, but it seems to be that 1% of the students are causing the majority of the problems, and they're recurring problems with the same student. And that is an issue. Of course, it could be the mental health issue is part of that. What is the due process for discipline? There needs to be a protocol, a professional development for staff and teachers to help teach students coping skills, a social and emotional curriculum to deal with the discipline issues. Peer mediation is an option, and teacher-staff experience in dealing with discipline problems is a key. The more experience a teacher has with dealing with discipline, the better they can handle it. What's going on? Well, how can the school board help? Forums like this joint board SIC meeting should continue. They believe that more board members should visit come in and visit the schools and see what's going on. And they like to see that the board members involved in community activities, like participating in the parade for Heritage Day. So get the board members out and into the community. And that's it.
Can't read my handwriting, that's why I don't want to do the writing. Okay, David and I were in the Beaufort cluster, and I just want to start out by saying the Beaufort cluster was very energetic and positive, and we came away with, you see the mind mapping up here, lots of different thoughts, okay? So what's going well? We had a lot of principals within our cluster meeting just now, and they shared with us that they are all getting together and having principal cluster meetings, all right? And what's hey, Vienna. So they had principal cluster meetings, and the whole idea with that is to have one vision, all right? To have this great vision, and also to identify needs. And that by identifying these needs, then they can determine what their professional development needs to be, and they can get the training for focusing in on it. Right now, they're focusing in on writing, okay? And so throughout the whole cluster, they're saying, what does writing look like in our schools? This is evidenced by our scores. And this is student work, which shows, you can look at it and say, where are our problems, and then getting the correct professional development for the teachers to help with writing. They said that's new this year. Also, they're doing a concerted effort to promote each other's schools. All right, they're really trying to promote to the community what's going on in the schools so that it looks like just a cohesive effort to educate our students. So in January, look for a cluster newsletter, and you're going to see lots of information in there from the cluster. This was fabulous to hear that the members in our group said that they're receiving good feedback from the induction teachers regarding the support the new teachers are getting. Just kind of a different vibe going on with, it's so key that we keep our teachers. And so our new teachers, as we were discussing, if they will stay in the profession 4 or 5 years, before you know it, you got them. And they're invested and they're going to stay. So they're just feeling some really good feelings toward the new teachers. And also our group mentioned a star mentor. So just recognizing the hard work that teachers and principals and staff are doing. So this is what this cluster identified as doing well. Okay, so what needs to be improved? Look at this one next. Okay, thank you. All right, we have to keep our teachers. All right, this comprised a lot of our conversation. We have to keep our teachers. So how are we going to do that? Well, currently, we're talking mostly, our new teachers, 1 to 5 to 7 years. Okay, they have their salaries. Then you add the locality supplement, which was instituted several years ago, which is fabulous. But that does not equal able to pay the bills. Okay? There was a story shared that there is a new teacher, pays his rent, her rent, and there's barely enough left over for food. Affordable housing is a real need. Increased salaries to attract teachers, to keep teachers. We have got to keep working on this. The board was working on this, with this budget cycle. The state is working on it, but we have a long way to go still. We talked about increasing the rate that teachers would receive for unused leave, whether they don't use their personal days or they don't use whatever it might be. Currently, right now, they get $10 a day if they don't use it. Well, what does that mean? Most teachers, when they're, decide to resign or retire, that they're going to use those days. That's right. They're going to use those days because $10 a day, we'd rather have that time. The time is worth more than that. So how do we keep teachers? We got to look at that. The idea, could we have a stipend or a bonus for at the end of the school year if you're a first-year teacher, a second-year teacher? Perhaps, okay, you made it through the year. This is awesome. Here's your bonus. Come back next year. Work hard on that induction 2. Work hard on that ADEPT, the formal eval. We want you. And how do we show that? We're going to make life easier by putting something in. Okay? So that was a lot of conversation about salaries. Back up, yes, sir. Then we started talking about classes without certified teachers in them. This is a grave concern, all right? Subs, when you have a sub, they're going home less than $70 a day, okay? You can't get subs. You can't get them because, that's a long day and you're working from the minute you put your step into that school until you leave, and to come home, walk away with less than $70. Teachers that resign, say that they're raising a family, they're rearing a family. I apologize. They're rearing a family, and but then they say, but I'd be available to go back for a long-term sub. Well, they're going to get sub pay. So here you have a certified teacher that resigned, and they're going to go back and they're going to pay sub pay. Well, they're not going to go in the classroom for sub pay. It doesn't cover their child care. You have retired teachers. There are a lot of retired teachers in our vast area. But there's a $10,000 cap on what they can earn per year depending on their retirement plan. Okay? So some of that is stuff that school board that we need to work on and advocate for our legislators to change those formulas, because there are certified teachers out there, and these are some reasons why they're not in the classroom. One other big concern, and I did write it down, was when you're on a 4x4 schedule, the high schools, which they are, and you have a whole semester without a teacher, you've got a whole course without a teacher. So let's imagine you're taking Algebra 3, you're a junior, and on a 4x4, you're taking that entire course between August and December, and you've had no teacher. That's an entire course, and that's going on your college transcript. So we have got to find ways to get teachers in the classroom. So I heard that before too with the other clusters. So how can school board, how can we help? The idea came up is that, there should be, we'd love to see the school board members in the classroom, in the schools more. I did say though, in regard to that, is that we would love to be invited. We would love to be invited. Sometimes, personally, I don't check Facebook for every school, so I don't know what's going on necessarily. So please invite us. It was also brought up is that some school board members, we don't want to impose. We don't want everybody to go on freak out mode that there's a school board member in the, in the building. But we would love to be there, so please, let's work on that. And how else can school board help? Well, maybe asking to build into the school calendar or more teacher half-day planning. Our teachers get a planning period a day, sometimes. That planning period might be your IEP meeting, your meeting with your grade level, you're doing something. It doesn't mean that you're planning. So more maybe half-day plannings, maybe on Wednesdays, because it's not at the beginning of the week or the end. It's a good day when everyone's there. We also bantied about the idea of a 195-day contract. I don't think Ms. Crosby's here. I don't know. I would have heard a sharp intake of breath on that. Oh my gosh. What would that do to salaries and stuff? But, seriously, think about it. If we could look at a 195-day contract, teachers would get paid more. If they had to work in 5 days more. but it would be protected for PD or planning or what needs to be done. Protected. And that's sending a message that we really value the profession, and we know you need time. And when kids are in the building, that's your focus, you know? And so sometimes you don't have that time to develop yourself professionally. What else can school board do? We were told we can stay positive. Okay? And I'm so hopeful. Yes, you can do that. Stay positive and stay focused on students. So.
Yes, I'm first. You are right? For some reason. Well, what are we doing well? According to my notes, arts integration is something that's received very well in the Hilton cluster. And the fact that we can choose at an early age whether you're going to pursue IB program, creative arts program is something that we do well. I think students are happy with their choices. Collaboration amongst the leaders in the cluster and the educators in the cluster, although they didn't say much about articulation in terms of courses and stuff. The culture at middle school is definitely improved quite a bit. People are very pleased with where that middle school is going. That is, a step into the high school. So as the middle school goes, so does the high school. So those are some of the things we do well. And people gave kudos to the high school principal. That's not me talking because I came from that high school and I know that principal. Somebody else said that he was doing an excellent job for a new principal. And students mentoring other students is also something positive. People are very impressed with the cadet program, the student teachers program. The only problem is we can't get those student teachers to come back as teachers. But yeah, that's the part that we're doing well.
Sure, give me the negatives, Jeff. Just joking. Things are going well on that island, but a couple of the items put forth where we could see some improvement is a community school communication, a point of contact, perhaps, for our high school students, if they want to do any volunteer work in the community, we might have a better vehicle in place to facilitate that. Job shadowing at the high school might be valued. It seems to have, waned over the years. And we actually spent a good bit of time talking about technology. A few of the suggestions put forth was addressing a district-wide tech plan to be followed by all. And Mr. Campbell and I are going to split up the last topic, which is how can the board help?
Okay, nobody said anything about firing any of the board members, so we'll be here trying to help. One of the things they did say is we can facilitate community events, particularly the school events. Be there, watching and looking and seeing what's going on, shaking hands. Developing a presence. The second item was use of technology. And with or without, we need to evaluate it and see whether we're spending a lot too much money in technology and also misguiding the direction of where students are going with the constant use of technology. In other words, one of our board members say, let's not just get along to get along. Meaning, let's not just do technology because everybody else is doing technology. I've been fully vetted throughout the world that that's where we need to go to continue to educate. So that's something that's a big concern. Youngsters getting on the wrong sites. They're saying more application, less web-based. Keep them off of those sites that are not necessarily educating to any degree, misguided. So we are concerned with miseducation. And the other we have mentioned already is sick leave. Teachers. And that's coming through loud and clear. $10, and I've taught for 23 years at Hilton Head High. $10 is not enough. And I know when we change that, we're going to make it retroactive.
So we talked about a variety of different categories. The substitute shortage, recruiting subsidies being something that needs a little more discussion. Personal leave policy, leading to increased teacher absences, teacher recruitment. We briefly discussed the 5 board goals, which are, I don't have them in front of me, but they're student achievement, not necessarily in this order, but student achievement is first. Evaluation of the superintendent, policy creation. Mr. Campbell, which ones have I left out? There's 2 more. Retaining highly qualified educators, and there's 1 more. Oh, fiscal responsibility. Left the best one for last. And we talked about how all of these could fit and align with our board goals. We discussed which board committees would tackle each of these areas and might discuss them and be placed on an agenda at the committee level. So we did make those connections to how these things actually connect with the board's oversight of the district. But that's it in a nutshell. Hilton Head Island's doing well.
Okay, we, Lufkin has such a large population here, we divided into 2 groups. So I'm going to go quickly through ours. In both the groups, the Lufkin groups had parents and teachers and students. Our group actually had high school students. It was great to hear from students. So what's working well? The first thing the kids said, the students said, the teachers and administrators. Yeah, they said, and so I had to ask the probing question, well, why? What do you say that? How can you say that? And they said they have a passion, not only for their subjects, but they care. And we feel that. Preparation, they feel like they're being well prepared. An example was after-school preparation for EOCs, and I think they threw out that there were like 87% of their students participating in that after-school preparation class. Communication between families and school. Communications between teachers and parents, administrators, parents, and teachers. Everyone sitting around in our circle felt like communication was a strength. PTO organization. Bluffton High School is for the first time having a PTO organization. Academic programming and variety. I felt that was a strength. Clubs were listed as a strength. Kate. Creative use of scheduling to create morning choice times at Bluffton High School, to create times for clubs. It's that creative, using scheduling time in a creative way. They also said that the Leader in Me, the elementary schools that was there, felt like the Leader in Me program was working really well. School spirit, all of them felt like the schools in the cluster all had great school spirit. creating scheduling to advance students, and all of the schools have also come up with incentives for responsible student behavior and academic achievement. They felt that those incentives were working. The parents, we also had parents, and they echoed these things as well. So what can be done better? Access to programming. We have programming, but it's not available to everyone sometimes because of limited space. Transportation that would allow access to programming. Expand and align programmatic opportunities. So expand them, align them, so there's that vertical integration between the grades and the different levels. Vertical planning and collaboration. That was mentioned as something that can be done better. Identifying special ed students and access, and identifying the programs to meet the student needs. So meeting the needs of the student rather than creating a program and trying to fit students in there that doesn't quite work. Additional counselors, additional social workers. Communicate with the general community. That was a discussion we had. What can we do to get the word out, to communicate with the community that isn't involved in our schools, that don't have students in our school? How can we do that? Questions about how we can better engage our Hispanic community. Certainly teacher retention, as all the groups have mentioned. And then we kind of rounded that out and said, well, really it's all staff retention, not just teacher retention, but all staff. Continuity across the district. Continuity is a couple of things that were mentioned, like after school care costs, discipline, attendance policies, equity, Kate, and security. Things that we felt could do better. How can the school board help? Well, the first thing that was mentioned was safety. This was a suggestion, a coordinated lobby. Somebody brought up the fact about, it was a high school teacher who's on SIC, about the starting school earlier. That is one of the things that we are talking about with the school board. Is one of our legislative things that we lobbied with. And he suggested that we get the SICs involved with this. Send notices to the SICs so that you know what our legislative priorities are from the school district and how you might help get the word out too. How there's value in numbers, right? Treat the district office staff with professionalism and respect. That we need to collaborate respectfully. School board needs to stay out of the way. Let the professionals do their job. Transportation issues, multiple runs. What can we do? How can the school board help with that? We need more bus drivers. And the other one was listen to the students. The students felt like, we really like to be listened to. So those were their ideas.
All right, I was with the other half of the Bluffton cluster, and what is working well has already come up in the other groups. Leadership and communication and academics are the three things. In terms of leadership, the group felt that there was a very positive culture, a supportive environment, the leadership was setting good policies, and there was excellent staff and teachers at the schools, and there was the vision of inclusion with everyone, and obviously all those are very important. Communication has already been mentioned as being very good. it seems like the preference for parents is text messaging over anything else, and that this could probably be better coordinated, perhaps even at the beginning of the year when parents are registering their students. And there needs to be a better way when people change their cell phone numbers to take that into account with the text messaging. And there are several apps that have been used, including Remind 101, Bloom, and School Messenger is also used. There are some limitations with each of those. May River High School principal got complimented for doing a weekly letter via email and a follow-up, and also having a very active social media site. In terms of academics, there's challenging coursework offered for all students. That's awesome in my mind. So that's basically what's working well. What could be done better? Streamlining these applications for communication. Once again, need more teachers in the classroom, and have what's also been mentioned, consistency and standardization for things throughout the district, as opposed to have pockets here and there do it differently. Many more counselors and social workers, that's already come up. Having volunteers, and perhaps, Dr. Rodriguez, something like Proposity, could we somehow use a program like that to have better management of volunteers and utilize them fully, knowing what people really want to do and can do? And with a mentoring program, it would be especially helpful for students. And also to train our volunteers and organize them better. Lufton Middle School has a roof leak. We also need to fund the content coordinators better. Right now, I gather we have coordinators for ELA, K, Fine Arts, and Social Studies, but no math or science coordinator. And I understand that that's because the coordinator makes more in the classroom than being the coordinator, so that is likely the root cause. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I was conserving resources. How can the school board help? Number one was our budget with county council, which actually has not been mentioned so far. Salaries for improved salaries for paraprofessionals, training and retraining. Perhaps it would be helpful to use the videos that we've been doing, and maybe do one board member a month, just so the public knows better who we are. This has come up already, school board members attending and engaging at school and community functions. It was also suggested that we, after a school board meeting, maybe put out just via Facebook, perhaps on the school district site, just to be 3 key bullet points about what was accomplished at that meeting, not get into lengthy things about motions and all that. The legislative breakfast panel that was recently held at the district office was thought to be very successful and beneficial by those that attended. And it was suggested that perhaps the school board, doesn't have to be a breakfast, but have a panel like that where we know in advance what the 10 questions or whatever that we're going to be asked, and then have teachers and attending that. So it would be set up similar to the way the legislative panel was. And to keep the instructional coaches. All right. So our last thing on the agenda is future topics and format. Does anybody have anything they would like to suggest or bring forward, or
since we did a format tonight broken down into clusters, I think it's important to also do kind of the opposite, where we're getting our clusters together and start, working more to figure out how we can help each other. as clusters.
Thank you.
I just wanted to present that, this year was our first time, actually, I know we had the weather makeup and everything, but this year was our first time having Veterans Day, and I'm a proud Army veteran as well as a teacher, and we live in a military town, so I just want to know, can we just take into consideration having that day off to celebrate our veterans? We are in a town with 4 bases, so it's hard to understand why we would be at work on that day. So that's just my comment.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we very much appreciate you coming out tonight and wish you happy holidays. And we need a motion to adjourn by board members. Mr. Smith, and a second. All those in favor? And thank you. Good night.